Hi everyone, welcome to Ethernal Realms and welcome to the month ahead astrology reading. Make sure you check your sun, moon, and rising signs for a comprehensive view of the month. Additionally, I would recommend watching the tarot reading of the month ahead to get a different perspective. While you will know the astrology in advance through this session, I will also send you a reminder when the astrological events are near. All you have to do is subscribe, hit the bell, and you will be notified as the events occur through my community page. I occasionally post behind the scenes, meditation guidance, quizzes, and polls, which you can check out for yourself. And it goes without saying that you will be notified when new videos are out, such as other zodiac readings and pick a card tarot readings as well. If you prefer to cut down the guesswork about your month ahead, you can always connect with me via Etsy to get a personalized week-by-week month ahead tarot reading paired with the general astrology. Enough about me, let's talk about you. So let's talk a little bit about the overview of the month first. We have two full moons this month. One on the 1st of August is a full moon in Aquarius, and on the 31st we have a full moon in Pisces. On the 16th, we have a new moon in Leo, so lots of lunar events occurring this month compared to the previous ones. Other interesting things is that Mercury is going to go retrograde in one of its home signs, Virgo, and the shadow period for that is going to start on the 3rd of August, and the retrograde itself occurs on the 23rd of August. The zodiac sign moves from Leo season to Virgo season, also on the 23rd, and Mars is changing signs from Virgo to Libra on the 27th. Apart from that, we have Uranus in Taurus going retrograde as well. And keep in mind, Venus is still retrograde at this time, and so is Neptune, even Saturn. So we have lots of planets going retrograde. Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus, Venus as well. Okay, so lots of retros. Okay, let's get into it and see what this means. So on the 1st of August, we have a full moon in the sign of Aquarius. So the moon is in Aquarius and the sun is in Leo. So this is going to bring the focus to your 8th house and your 2nd house. The moon is in the 8th house, which connects with shared resources, your vulnerability, intimacy, and your psyche, subconscious as well. What your conditioning is, how you believe certain things, or rather how you operate in certain behaviors. For example, when you are afraid of something, do you shut down, or do you unleash? Like, what is exactly the coping mechanism, and things like that can come up here. So anything connected with humanity at large, or intellectual prowess, or your collective, basically the community that you relate to in a broader scale, along with your hopes, dreams, and aspirations. How are you relating to those things? Do they speak truly to your heart, or is there something needing to change? Because it's a time of the full moon, emotions are likely to be heightened and information is going to be clear and upfront. So it is a time to complete certain cycles, or release certain things, or to pivot in direction to bring into fruition the original intent. The same day, we have a trine, which is a harmonious aspect between the Mars in Virgo, which is in your 3rd house, and Jupiter in Taurus, which is in your 11th house. Now, this talks about nice communication occurring with your social media people or with your network. And if you're in business, then the way that you're selling your products and communicating yourself and the work that you're doing, or the value that you put into people's lives and all of that, that is just being very heightened around this time. Or it is coming to a positive resolution, in the sense that if there is too much hecticness, there is likely to be some support coming in, or if there's lots of friends who are needing you to be present, then you might be able to neaten up your schedule and make certain appointments, make some time to be able to attend to most of the important ones. On the 2nd, we have Mercury in Virgo, right opposite Saturn and Pisces, and Saturn is retrograde at this time. So this is bringing into focus your 3rd house and 9th house. Now, the third house, yes, it relates with communication, but it also connects with short distance travels and your contract signing, the emails, marketing, advertising, your siblings as well, and your local community, so your neighborhood. And the ninth house talks about broader cultures, far off distances, foreign lands, foreign cultures, foreign food and influences. It also talks about your belief systems, about the world in general, and, what is your philosophy in life? Do you think life is good? Do you think reality is good? Do you think it is bad and difficult? Or, there are certain losers, there are certain winners, and etc. So this is where, when we have an opposition, we need to find moderation on both sides. Okay, we can't only think about what we think about and what our local community does, but at the same time, we cannot only think about what others in the world are needing from us. So how do we fine tune the boundaries is going to come up. Now, because Saturn is retrograde, there is likely going to be some restructuring and loosening up of restrictions connected with the ninth house topics. So if you have been waiting for visas to get approved in order to travel abroad, or for travel plans to become confirmed so that you can, put that in your calendar, or, just prepare for it emotionally and mentally, this is the time when you're likely to have some more further communication or actions that take place. On the 3rd, we have Mercury going into shadow zone, preparing to go retrograde on the 23rd in the sign of Virgo. So whatever happens around this date, please note it, because from this point on, whatever is being done is likely either to be repeated, or it is likely to be, taken another look at it. Okay, re-look or review, something like that. Does not always mean that you're needing to overhaul everything. So if you're writing a report, you don't have to rewrite the entire report, but you might have to go over it and proofread for certain sections that you start from this point on. On the 7th, we have a square, which is a stressful aspect, but it is with the Sun in Leo and Jupiter in Taurus. So because there is a beneficial planet involved here, this can talk about some responsibilities and some, beneficial efforts, or rather efforts you have put in the past, that coming into fruition in some way. Squares also talk about, they're encouraging us to take action. They're like, okay, do it right now. That's the kind of energy. There is a sense of urgency, but at the same time, it is pushing us to be our highest version. So this square is lining up for you in your 2nd house of self-worth, finances, values, and properties. Properties as well, actually, any material possessions that you have. But also it talks about your priorities in life. So for example, children, let's talk about children in the 2nd house of Leo. They might be a big priority for you, or giving and sharing love, getting involved into creative hobbies and projects, etc. So this might require your, resource, time, and energy, right? If you want to work on certain things, or you want something to be a part of your life, it needs certain investments from your side. Now, because there are certain things already going on in the institution or organization you are part of, or even in your friends and networking sector, you might be called other ways to find this time, basically. So there is a bit of a delay, but whatever you're working on around this time is likely to bring you some benefits in the longer run. Okay, it's a little bit of a loopy thing going on here. It's nice, but, can be stressful on this particular day. Okay, on the 9th, we have another square aspect. This is between Venus and Uranus in the same houses. Okay, now Venus is retrograde at this time, and you might be looking at your priorities and you're like, does this make me feel nice anymore? Is this fulfilling for me anymore? Does it make sense for me? Maybe your children are needing you to, communicate your love in a different way. That might be shaking up the things you have done before. But at the same time, it can be quite liberating, because you don't have to stay stuck to the same love language, or you don't have to prioritize and push for the same types of events or properties in your life. So in that way, you bring in some sort of excitement and electricity as well. Now, because Uranus is in Taurus, there can be some changes that are being made in your institution or network sphere. This can also be, swapped. Feel free to swap, okay? Everyone is working at a different level. So whenever I say hopes, dreams, and aspirations, you can swap that for institution and network. If I say institution and network, you can swap it for hopes, dreams, and aspirations. It's all covered in that 11th house. So Uranus being in this house here, it talks about some changes and epiphanies that can come through here, or there are certain breakthroughs that are happening. If you've been working on something for a very, very long time now, it can be quite annoying that you're still needing to take on more responsibility, or you're having to lead certain things, etc. in this space. So Uranus can bring that happy respite in that regard. But if there have been some delusional spending of time, energy, resource, and finances in a certain aspect connected with your aspirations or network institution, then there can be some, difficult realizations that can happen on this day, which it still helps you to, redirect yourself and invest otherwise. The same day we have another square, which is Pluto in Capricorn, your 7th house, squaring with the North Node in Aries, which is your 10th house. So on this day, it might be a little bit difficult to connect with your loved ones because you're needing to focus a little bit more on your career goals and ambitions, the status that you want to cultivate for yourself and for your legacy in the world. But you might be wanting to, transform certain relationships, or maybe, deal with certain difficulties that are ongoing with current relationships or new connections you're trying to form at this time. Now, keep in mind that Venus is retrograde, so the idea of love and what, the other person can offer within relationships and what we can offer within relationships, that can be a little bit foggy here. Okay, so just be mindful of that. But apart from that, this can still talk about partnering up with someone, or there can be some changes in partnerships, and you might be the one who is most responsible. So a classic example that comes to mind is that you work with one other person, or you're collaborating with one another person, and that person has to leave temporarily because they have some things going on, and all of the responsibility then falls on you. So you become the sole leader and guide of the institution or organization or whatever community you're collaborating in. The next day we have Mercury in Virgo trining with Jupiter in Taurus. So this again brings into focus your 3rd house and your 11th house. So there can be some nice communication that comes through for you, positive developments coming in related with anything written, anything of a communication format, and also travel related news. So if you're making plans with your friends to travel someplace, this is the day that likely it is going to get resolved in some regard. Or if your advice is being very needed in some way, this can be about you delivering whatever it is that people need. And the 3rd house also connects with your co-working space. So it looks like there's a positive and harmonious environment wherever it is you live in or you work in. Okay, on the 13th, we have the Sun meeting with Venus in the sign of Leo, and Venus is retrograde at this time. So that's your 2nd house. Whenever the Sun meets any planet, it is about bringing light into it. Okay, so when Venus is retro, things are a little bit foggy about what is love, what does it mean to us, what do we love exactly, what are we wanting to create, and all of that. So the Sun coming here is quite helpful because we are more clear about this is something I absolutely do not want, or this is something I absolutely need, or this is something that I need to follow through on and then see what it comes out to be. On the 16th, we have a new moon in the sign of Leo. So this talks about new potential and new beginnings. And because it's a new moon, there's a lack of experience that comes with it. So we are overly idealistic around this time, generally speaking. Not everyone responds like that, of course, but it's something to keep in mind. So it can be like new purchases or new money coming through. There can be some bonuses coming in or some other, income ideas that can come up to you, creative generation of ideas. But this is squaring with Uranus in Taurus with your 11th house. So this can talk about how the solutions that you're coming up with at this time may not be directly linked with the aspirations you hope to accomplish in life. Okay, so this can feel a little bit stressful in that regard, but surrounding the square, there's lots of beneficial things as well supporting. This can be a very nice time for bringing healing to any financial issues or mindsets connected with, prosperity, abundance, love, your own priorities, children, inner child, all of that. The same day we have Mars in Virgo trining with Uranus in Taurus. So once again, some positive resolution and nice working environment and nice neighborhood as well. Good environment in general, even in the home space, is indicated here. And even if certain things are not lining up directly with your aspirations, there are still other ideas you have or other solutions that can help you get to that point. On the 21st, we have another trine aspect, which is between the Sun in Leo with the North Node in Aries. So this brings your focus into your second house of finances, priorities, possessions, and your 10th house of goals, ambitions, and career. So this can talking about a raise or working for something that is going to promise you a raise or a heightened promotion of some sort. This can also be that you're opening up new job opportunities. You might be looking at what can pay more or what is more worth your time. What do you value more at this time, and how can you go about doing that? The 10th house is more solid in the way that I will do this, I'm working on it, I'm going for it. Okay, so whatever it is that's associated with that regard, you are going to be showcasing in the coming 1.5 years. Okay, the next day on the 22nd, we have a square between Venus and Jupiter. Now, this is a classic, transit of overindulgence or overpromising, under-delivering type of situation. And that is especially true this time because Venus is retrograde. But on the plus side, this can talk about past investments or past, intentions that you have set out, or past communications you've had with your friends and network, institution, etc. That is leading to some breakthroughs now. Okay. So it can feel a little bit like, oh, I was not prepared for this. I was wanting this a month ago. But right now I'm dealing with other stuff, so I was not really prepared to have this come into my life. That can be a little bit of a pitfall. But because these are beneficial planets, overall it is going to feel still nice. You feel like, oh, okay, so my manifestations work, or the work I did is paying off. All right, that's good to know. On the same day, we have an opposition between Mars in Virgo with Neptune in Pisces, and Neptune is retrograde. So this again brings into focus your third house and your ninth house. Okay, traveling close by, traveling abroad, and teaching, studying. Maybe you are taking some online courses, or you are a teacher and you are studying something just to open up your mind or to get inspired again, or it might be even improving your skills in some regard, therefore upgrading what you can do in life. So this can talk about you putting in some extra effort in learning really well, but you might have other responsibilities you're taking care of, so you're having to be realistic about your passions and the way that you're managing your work, basically, or your responsibilities. On the 23rd, the zodiac season changes, and we go from Leo season, so the sun being in Leo, to the sun being in Virgo. So this indicates that you have the focus coming into your third house instead of your financial house. So the third house again is about siblings, short distance travel, community, etc. And the same day we have a Mercury going retrograde in Virgo. Now Mercury rules Virgo, so this retrograde will be pretty strong in general, but because it's making a favorable aspect to your sign, it's at a sextile angle to you, this can talk about some opportunities that are brought from the past or from past connections around this time. This can also be resolutions happening, some meetings or whatever you have going on about ongoing issues. You're likely to find some solution that works well for each and every member involved. Also, another thing to keep in mind is with any retrograde of Mercury, it is about letting yourself be when you are not feeling it, basically. Okay. Well, ideally, that is the solution, that, you space things out. You don't try to pressure yourself too much because your brain or your mind at this time is kind of foggy or blurry. So you might miss fine details. And the more you try to push, it's like if a person is asleep or sleepy or groggy, something like that, and you try to, teach them all about mathematics and science and engineering, they're going to be like, wait, what's happening? Right? So give yourself some space to rectify any things if needed. If you have lots of appointments, space them out, keep a buffer between them so you have enough time to commute. And if any travel changes happen, you're able to cope with what happens, okay? On the 25th, we have Mars in Virgo trining with Pluto in Capricorn, and Pluto is retrograde at this time. So there are some positive changes happening or communication that's happening connected with your relationships and how you view relationships. What is your relationship with relationships as well? There can be some healing going on here. Now, because Mars is in the third house, it can talk about activities and communications that are happening that can help you change your relationship life or your one-to-one connections. If you are working in a collaboration or partnership, even if this person is not back to work, they are still available for communication, so you can clear things out and everything is kind of, okay, slowly, bit by bit, it's making more sense, okay? On the 27th, we have an opposition between the Sun in Virgo with Pisces, Saturn. So Saturn is in Pisces, Saturn is retrograde. And this again brings into focus the third and the ninth houses. There can be increased communication or increased, processes that you are taking care of in order to make something happen for the bigger goals that you have, or like I said, visas, passports, etc. Maybe you need to travel at this time to do some sort of signature or something like that to make things go forward. Same day, we have Mars moving from Virgo into Libra. So the activities, the major activities, the busyness is basically going to move from your third house of colleagues, co-working spaces and neighborhood, siblings, etc. into your home and family environment. So now you're going to be dealing with what your family is needing from you and the relationships that you cultivate within that space. And when I say family and home, feel free to swap it with your inner self and ancestry, okay? Different people working on different levels, so take it as it resonates. But you might be probing, I'm hearing the word probing for you guys, into your family history, for example. What is the relationship histories you have, or what is your connection with your homeland? Do you still live there? Is there any connection to your roots? If not, then maybe you can get it back in touch. Maybe there are some relatives or someone that is asking you to visit them or something of that sort, okay? You can be even spending some time at home and you're really driven and motivated to work from home or to stay at home for a little bit, take a bit of a break, something like that. In Mercury retrograde, it's ideal if we can rest a little bit more, but life goes on and things happen, so maybe that's not possible for each and every person, but find whatever time you can to kind of improve the quality of your stay at home and while you rest. On the 29th, we have Uranus in Taurus going retrograde, and this Taurus is in your 11th house. So once again, you might be questioning, are there some changes that you're wanting to make with regards to your institution, your network that you're connecting with? Maybe you want to connect with, a new community. Now, keep in mind that these changes are not going to happen to you from the outside in because it's going retrograde. You are going to have to create or want to create from the inside out. The same goes with innovation and inventiveness. It's about using the knowledge and resources that you have already gathered in the past, 6-7 months, and seeing how those changes have happened and incorporating those changes or understanding, letting that sink in, instead of being like, I can't believe this happened, I cannot deal with this anymore, etc. This is the time where we're like, well, the change has happened, so now we're just gonna have to deal with it one way or the other. It either we flow with it and we go with it, or we just leave the situation, right? Either way, there needs to be some sort of solution for us to accept and move on. On the 31st, we have another full moon. This is as well a time of completion, release, or pivot. And this one is taking place in Pisces. So Pisces falls in your 9th house again, and the sun is in Virgo, which is your 3rd house. So there can be some completion of any documentation process or publishing, other contracts or different plans, philosophies, belief systems, your connections with divinity and your higher self as well, that is coming to some sort of peak and epiphany. And like, oh, okay, so I gotta do this, and this is clear finally, now I can choose what I want to do with this situation. So we're starting the month with a full moon and ending with a full moon. So lots of release and plenty of new opportunities that can come in between there. So that's what I have for you. Thank you for being here. I really hope you enjoyed and that the messages help you out throughout the month. Stay tuned for the tarot reading as well. I will be uploading them soon. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified whenever that's up. And if you enjoyed the reading, please do like and comment your thoughts if you have any. It will be really lovely to hear back from you, and it really helps the channel grow as well. I will see you some other time. Until then, take care. Bye.